Good evening, I'm Keith Tebow, and welcome to the March 23rd, 2017 edition of FRCmedia News. It's been a busy week here in the city of Fall River. On this week's show, over $4 million in capital grant money has been awarded to local educational institutions for their life sciences programs. Charter Commission members are putting the finishing touches on the newly revised city charter to go before voters this November. And the school committee has started reviewing the school superintendent's proposed budget for next fiscal year. But first, let's welcome in the digital news editor of the Fall River Herald-News to discuss the news issues of the week. We are pleased to be joined by Will Richmond. Will, how are you?
I'm good, Keith. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. Let's start this again. A lot going on this week. A lot of it is economic development related here in the city. The Herald-News has a story in today's paper. The city's redevelopment authority is being asked to hold a special meeting, actually tonight as we record this, to potentially consider a request by Mayor Jazio Correa to dissolve the redevelopment authority's work agreement and contract with the Fall River Office of Economic Development. First of all, Will, tell us what the relationship is between the redevelopment authority and FROED and what this may mean if it is dissolved.
Sure. FROED, through a contract delivered through a bid process, serves as the staffing arm for the redevelopment authority. The authority is essentially a board. There are no staff members beyond the board. So for many years now, they have gone out to bid to seek staffing services. The redevelopment authority has the potential to be a multi-million-dollar agency. That's where they stand now, following the sale of the Amazon land up in the industrial in the biopark. So FROED provides services to the redevelopment authority through that contract.
All right, and Mayor Correa mentioned in the article today that he's looking to do his own economic development avenue or venue, if you will, within city government that I guess would replace FROED in working with the redevelopment authority. This is something apparently that has come up for quite some time, even though the redevelopment authority has been working with FROED for about 17 years.
Yeah, in many cases, the bid process to provide those services has seen FROED as the only service. I recall one bid where there was a second bidder, but one of the reasons given to stay with FROED was that they were familiar with the redevelopment authority in the city already at the time. So, why change that out? But yeah, going forward, it looks like the mayor, and I believe this is something he brought up during his campaign, was that he wanted the city to have its own economic development representative separate from FROED, which is a sort of quasi-public agency. The two entities would work, sort of on the same tracks next to each other, but would be separate in terms of responsibilities to the city.
So I guess we'll just have to wait and hear more from the mayor and the redevelopment authority as they meet, again, as we record this later on Thursday evening. All right, elsewhere, economic development-wise, the South Coast Rail project appears to be moving forward with some sort of definitive action coming up. It was announced yesterday by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation that the project to upgrade the Middleborough-Lakeville commuter rail into the South Coast will probably be moving forward, and actually construction starting in a couple of years. So it looks like some more definitive information in terms of the future of South Coast Rail here on the South Coast.
Yeah, the state has filed with the Office of DEP for a change of to the project and focusing on the Middleborough line. The idea at this point is to try to get the Middleborough done line in the short term, while still keeping open the possibility of the previously preferred Stoughton line down the tracks. Sorry for the pun, but
no, it's a good one though.
Yeah. So that is now moving forward. Comment period is opening up on the environmental aspect of the Middleborough line, and if all continues to move forward, work could begin by 2019.
And I know in a related story from your sister publication, the Taunton newspaper, mentioning that the state senator from Taunton, Mark Pacheco, not too pleased with the Middleborough route in terms of its connection to Taunton. Even though this route would go into Taunton, according to the state senator, it wouldn't go too close to downtown Taunton, which he feels is important for economic development in that part of the city. And I guess he's looking at ways to maybe block this Middleborough route in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, certainly as elected officials from New Bedford and Fall River have shifted their support from the Stoughton line to the Middleborough line, the Taunton group has stayed pretty firm in wanting it to go through Taunton. They want it to come through the downtown area, and so that has led Senator Pacheco to say that he's beginning looking for legal options to see if there are any that could keep things moving through Taunton on the Stoughton line and hold up the Middleborough option.
All right, so again, all this impacting economic development in our region. And one other economic development story I want to get with you this week. The owners of the South Coast Marketplace, former location of the Harbor Mall in Fall River, they announced this week that there's going to be some of the new tenants that will be in that shopping center when it is all said and done and complete. And this is a project, if you've driven by there in the far south end of Fall River, you're seeing quite a lot of development going on and quite a lot of movement in terms of construction. And talk about some of those additions to that marketplace.
Sure. Well, it was already known that Market Basket would
Right.
serve as one of the anchor tenants, but it was additionally the big name that came out in yesterday's announcement was that a PetSmart would be located there and be joined by a state-of-the-art movie theater and a restaurant which people in the northern end of the state and New Hampshire may be familiar with, called the 110 Grill. So we've got our first batch of stores, restaurants coming in. The expectation is that more announcements will be made roughly every 5 to 6 weeks as tenant agreements are signed. And hopefully everything will be up and running by the holiday shopping season this year.
Now, has the group mentioned how many tenants that will be total in that area? Because it just looking at some of the photos that were provided in the paper about the setup, you saw the PetSmart, you saw where the movie theater was, you saw where the grill was, and I'm trying to gauge how much more space there will be for how many tenants. Do they have a number?
I don't recall a total number being given, and that may be to provide some flexibility with the types of tenants that are signed on. Certainly if you get one that needs a larger space versus a smaller space, that might affect the total number of tenants in the final outlay of that development. So, basically we're just being told that the additional tenants are being contacted, agreements are being signed, and on a roughly 5 to 6 week basis, those will be announced.
All right, well, sounds good. What's coming up at the Herald over the next few days?
Sure, we will continue with our homeless series, taking a look at the effects of homelessness on school systems. We'll certainly be following up on the FROED Mayor Correa situation as well, with full coverage from Thursday night's meeting, and we'll see how it goes from there.
All right, well, thanks. Take care. We'll talk again soon.
All right, have a good weekend, Keith.
We'll have more FRC Media news right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Fall River Career Center. Associate Dentist, Cool Smiles, located in the Flint Village Plaza at 933 Pleasant Street, is in need of a full-time associate dentist to provide quality general dentistry for their patients in their Fall River office location. Job number 866-3330. Extended Day Counselor, People Incorporated, located at 4 South Main Street, is looking for a part-time extended day counselor to provide extended day program services that are focused on health and wellness for individuals aged 22 and up with developmental disabilities. Job number 869-1978. Bank Teller, Santander Bank, located at 141 North Main Street, is seeking a full-time bank teller. Basic computer knowledge and Windows skills required, as well as cash handling and customer service skills. Job number 869-2905. The Fall River Public School Department, located at 417 Rock Street, is looking to fulfill the following positions. Art teacher, job number 865-8973. Substitute school nurse, job number 865-8874. Math teacher, job number 865-9157. English as a second language teacher, job number 866-0634. For more information on these or other positions, visit FRCMediaNews.org or call the Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. Bristol Community College got a financial shot in the arm this week when it was awarded $4.4 million in capital grant monies from the Massachusetts Life Sciences Center. The purpose is to expand and accelerate the life sciences workforce pipeline in southeastern Massachusetts with training impacts on education and workforce development. Here's BCC President Dr. John Sprague.
The grant will broaden educational offerings while increasing the value of the BCC degree and certificates that we have with a unique combination of occupational skills and industry-recognized credentials. Where not only is it a pipeline, but it's a pipeline that involves state-of-the-art pedagogy, state-of-the-art equipment, state-of-the-art preparation for our students as they go out into the real world, if it's out there.
Meanwhile, the Matthew J. Cuss Middle School received approximately a $40,000 grant. School Superintendent Matt Malone said during that same news conference that the monies will go toward educating the middle school about the role technology will play in their future.
Through partnership, through innovation, through connection, we've been able to build bridges with our public schools, our vocational schools, our charter schools, and others to build this pipeline, this pathway, this ecosystem of connectivity to ensure that all of our young people have access to 21st century learning, real world, hands-on, project-based, integrated, high-tech. I mean, this room speaks to what the future of education looks and feels like. We're very blessed that we live in a state that understands that.
And we'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
So this is Roxy. She's an 8-year-old boxer. She's been with us since February. She would do best in a house with no children, but she's a really, really sweet girl. If you'd like to come and see her, we're at 300 Linwood Street, Fall River, and we're open every day except for Wednesdays, 11 to 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Hello and welcome again to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. This is Wagner. You can find him at Forever Paws. He's about 4 years old. He came with 2 other cats, females. He's a little shy, a little reclusive, but he's had his world turned upside down. So what he's done mostly while he's here is hidden in cracks and crevices, but when he has human contact, he's more than happy to accept it. But it's scary for him here because it's very foreign. He was the oldest out of the set. He's still looking for a forever home, and he's quite a pleasant cat, but he doesn't show off to you right away that he wants your attention because he's so shy. So give him a chance. You can find him at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
A preliminary draft of a proposed city charter change for Fall River has been given the nod of approval by the State Attorney General's office. Charter Commission Chairman Mike Mioza says that Charter Commission members will give the document one final look before sending the final version back to the state. Then the document will be set for approval by voters in November's final election.
And for all intents and purposes, what we'll move into is more of an educational mode, educating the public as to what's in this new document, what can they expect. And I will tell you this, we haven't really changed a lot. So we're still going to have a mayor, city council, school committee, form of government. serving the same amount of, time, 2-year terms. No ward counselors. The mayor's going to still sit on the school committee. There'll be no term limit. So I guess the way I like to refer it, we didn't flip the government, so to speak. But what we did do is we made it, I think we've done a very thoughtful process here. We put a lot of structure, a lot of good management practices in place. The part that I'm really proud of this charter is our current charter doesn't speak to any fiscal or financial procedures. And we have a whole article, a whole section in this charter, which I think is so very important for Fall River, especially, seeing firsthand, sitting on the city council, our financial hardships that we've endured over the years. I think this helps put some structure in. And the beauty, Donna, in my view, is that this document, how, we change mayors, we have elections every 2 years. We've had, 3 mayors over the last 4 years. This is the document, no matter who's mayor, who is ever on the city council, who's ever on the school committee, this is the document that they're going to need to follow. So it gives us some consistency in our government. So when we say that, the mayor now annually has to convene the city council, the school committee, and the superintendent to have a budget meeting, and it has to be a public meeting, all mayors are going to have to do that.
Last week, we reported that the superintendent of schools in the city of Fall River, Matt Malone, presented the school committee with his FY18 budget. It's an ambitious budget which looks to improve the amount of money spent on net school spending. This week, we had the opportunity to speak with a school committee member, and we'll have his response to that document coming up on next week's show. A state representative, along with the grandfather of a young Fall River woman killed in a car accident while on the way to her prom last spring, are working together to proclaim June Seatbelt Safety Awareness Month. Former City Councilor Mike Maioza lost his granddaughter Hannah Raposa in that tragic accident. He approached State Representative Alan Sylvia to ask if he would work with the governor to proclaim June as that Seatbelt Safety Awareness Month. Representative Sylvia agreed and is meeting with the governor in a bid to get that proclamation approved as early as this June. Sylvia recalled the accident during the latest episode of FRCmedia's Voices from the Hill.
June, she was thrown from a vehicle because she wasn't wearing a seatbelt. If she had been wearing a seatbelt, she would be alive today. And she struck all of us.
Oh my God.
And she's also, of course, related to the granddaughter of Mike Maioza, former city councilor.
Heartbreaking,
And
heartbreaking.
we wanted to do something, and when Mike came to me, had some thoughts about, is there anything we could do, not so much for Hannah, but in her memory, but to do something that would save lives. And he said, which is so true and hit me, is Hannah would want to do something. If this happened to someone, Hannah would want to do this. And so I filed a bill to make June Seatbelt Awareness Month in Massachusetts. There are a couple of other states that have a Seatbelt Awareness Month, and we didn't have one in Massachusetts. I've talked to the governor since. Of course, trying to get that through committee is like putting a camel through the eye of a needle. So, although we're scheduled early for hearing, the governor is hopefully going to be doing a proclamation this June. I'm still working with him to get all the details completed. But in the meantime, Mike Maioza has been collecting signatures, and we're going to be distributing those sheets for people to affix their name to it. Now, a signature isn't needed or required for a bill, but when we have that hearing and we're able to present to the chairman of that committee 10,000 signatures, and that's what I believe we're going to have throughout the Commonwealth, and to do the same to the governor. That makes all the difference in the world, because if we can save one life, then Hannah's loss was not in vain.
And that'll do it for this edition of FRC Media News. You can catch FRC Media News Thursdays and Friday at 6 p.m. and online 24/7 at our website, frcmedianews.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday.